This is Jan Triplett. I'm your host. So the Business Success Center is an organization. It's a business. Sometimes people think of us as a membership group, but we're not. This is just something that we do because we've been doing this a lot of years. This is actually the month of our 38th year. We've been doing this a long time, working with businesses. We are sustainability experts, and we work with business owners exclusively, really, who want to balance the need for profit with their desire to do something good for people and the planet. Dave Nave, are you with me today? Maybe not.
Okay, I finally, I just now got on.
Okay. Hi, Dave Nave.
Hi there. My apologies. I was hosting another meeting.
That's okay. And thank you for inviting me to the Pacific Northwest Aeronautical Association. Did I get all the letters right?
That's close enough.
It was
aerospace.
Aerospace. So what have you got to share with us today?
All right. So this is a second in a little series I'm putting together. And I have to get it out here where I can see it. And this time we're going to talk about, we talked a little bit last time about what is a leader. This time we're going to talk about leadership action. And I came up with this. This is just a collection of sayings. A leader must have a theory. So they must understand, they must have an idea about what they're going to be doing. And some sort of prediction that if you do this, then you're going to get this. They must feel compelled and obligated to accomplish the change. And if you're actually a leader, if you're actually changing an organization or that type of, well, that's why most leaders are there, is to change and improve things. There has to be some sort of commitment and obligation and so on. The third idea is that they need to have a step-by-step plan that can be explained in simple terms. They need to be able to convince people in power to make it happen, have persuasive power. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're great speakers or great talkers or great, but they have to have some sort of persuasive power. It could be hidden or not visible behind the scenes. And they must have some understanding about people. All right, there's what came to mind as I was going through this, trying to figure out how I was going to explain this, was to have an example. And this is one of the examples that kept popping in my head every time I came back to work on this presentation. And it's very old. When I was first out of college and as an engineer, I worked on a plant startup. And a guy that was working there explained this concept to me, and I have found that works for not only plant startups but entrepreneurs if they're starting up a new company. If there's a big program coming up, there are three phases that happen when something is being created. This is of a large size. The first phase is, of course, a greenfield or a clean sheet type of activity where I got this great idea, but I don't know what it looks like. And you just start defining the aim, determining requirements, figuring out what's going on, start to put together some structure, a building. What elements are you going to need? Do you need to order anything? And then the second phase is implementation. So in this case that I experienced the very first time, they had a building built and the equipment was ordered. So I was actually hired to come in the second phase, which was implement it, which was bring the equipment in, put it on the floor, get it working, and get it working as a factory, not as just a collection of stuff. But so you had to make adjustments and do this type of interesting work to get it efficient and effective. And the third phase is a maintenance type activity, which is just to keep it going, keep it smooth, make sure it continues to operate. And for each phase, there's a different personality type that's involved. You know, the greenfield person or the clean sheet person is a visionary, a designer, explorer, trailblazer. The implementer is a little more pragmatic because now they have to take things that exist and make it work. They want to bring some sort of order out of this chaos that's coming in the door, and they want to change. They really have to, because you never know what kind of new things that were not thought of in the initial greenfield situation now crop up, and you have to figure it out. And the third one is the maintainer, and this type of personality is a protector. They like to assure policies are upheld and processes are followed correctly. Now, what we found, and what this guy explained to me, was, and I found it very, very true, is that some people can only work in one category. Some people can work in two categories. But there are very few, and he basically told me there's nobody that is comfortable working in all three. And but I'm not going to go with absolutes, so I say very few are comfortable with working in all three. So I've coached other leaders on startups of companies or buildings or facilities or whatever they're doing, that these three happen, these people exist, and not to be too concerned about hiring one person that covers all three categories. So they must plan on when these phases are going to happen, hire the appropriate personality for that phase, and then just expect that there's going to be a turnover. That the person that's working greenfield is not going to be able to stick with it to maintain it. It's just not a personality type that usually goes together. Okay, so back to our original slide. There's a theory about how companies start up, how a large task force gets working, how things are created, and there's kind of a step-by-step plan on what can be, what needs to be done, what's going to happen. And that's all I have.
Well, Dave, that's great. And I think it's certainly true of reinventing your business. There are some people who can green screen or take a blank sheet of paper or a whiteboard and just fill it with stuff. Those visionary people who can reinvent, just leave them long enough with a paper napkin and they will invent the world. And then there are those people who are really the pragmatic, and then they sometimes have to deal with whatever the green sheet person came up with and make it work, and the providers. I think that this is a theory that works for all of us. And I'd like to encourage everybody who's with us today is to put in the chat box what you think you are. Are you that green sheet visionary? Are you that protector who keeps it going when it's done? Or are you the pragmatic? So thank you, Dave, very much. Love always what you bring to us.